Een goede indruk. Hij draaide een mini-verzetje. We kijken naar het traject. U zult in totaal 10 beklimmingen vinden op dat traject. Wat zeg ik? 11. Dat is er eentje meer dan vorig jaar. Ze hebben er eentje gevonden na de Côte de Dat is aan het eind van deze wedstrijd. De Boisseau, die komt er daaraan. En dan de Bousselle. En dan de Ahin en dan de Mur.
And these are the people who really are the experts. There's Axel Merckx, over from Canada, where he now lives, just to come to his favourite area. He's a Walloon as well. And the Schlecks, by the way, are taking part here. Not Frank, who had that bad crash in the Amstel Gold Race. There's the winner of the Amstel Gold Race just going through. That was Serguei Ivanov. Oscar Freire here, 3 times world champion. Everybody in good humour, I think, today, simply because the weather is so nice. Alejandro Valverde, perhaps preoccupied by the ongoing investigation with Operation Puerto for him. Kirken too, thinking of what might be today. Cadel Evans, the best placed Australian last year in second ever on the podium. And Philippe Gilbert, new team for him, is on Cadel's side this time around. So the field all set to roll out under sunny conditions. We're looking back at the start here through courtesy of our guests of Belgian television. And then we'll go up the road and we'll bring...
Deze twee zouden nog een voorsprong hebben van 10 minuten en 18 seconden. En ze zijn nu op 84 kilometer van de aankomst. Hier is Christophe Moreau, die dat wel vaker doet. Kiezen voor een lange aanval in een klassieker. Het is 16 graden warm. Laten we zeggen dat dat behoorlijk koersweer is in zijn gezelschap. Dus Beppu, de Japanner. Hier hebben we hem, waarvan die van Japan zeggen dat hij hun beste renner is. Maar, Karel, al 2 keer gezien op de muur, Moreau toch wel de betere van de 2.
Ja, hij heeft al 2 keer gewacht op Beppu en dat is maar goed ook, want als je nog 120 kilometer alleen moet rijden en nu zijn er nog 80, maar bij een eerste passage nog 120, dan kan je maar beter wachten op die Beppu, want op die vlakke stukken heb je...
Eerst. Moreau, hè. En de Japaner Beppu. Ja. Oeh, we zijn niet, hè? Zelfs als Cadel naar voren rijdt. Hier van een broek hier. Schleck. Cunego daar, 21. Ja. Kijk eens.
Ja, zie je, kijk hier. Je staat er wel, dat wat eigenlijk.
Ah, daar, had er in een rode auto zitten ze. Deze is Moreau. Ja. Even daar. Groen.
pictures. This is where the riders head for the finish. They also climb the Mur de Huy twice before they finish on top. And these are the massive crowds who always walk up the hill. There's nowhere to put your cars, and the gradient is 25%. It is a very tough climb indeed. Little flashback, since the start, Christophe Moreau, not Francis, got away with Fumiaki Beppu. Beppu was in trouble on the climb of the Huy, and in fact Moreau wanted to wait for him, but wasn't getting too far with him at all. He wasn't quite as strong as the top Frenchman. This is the main peloton, and as we go to the live pictures, the gap is coming down. It had been out to well over 15 minutes. So let's go to the action in the 73rd Flèche Wallonne.
Dit is gevaarlijk, hè? Dat is juist. Dit is gevaarlijk.
dit is. Allez, Francis!
Weer taart gareta.
Daar. Ah. De hele bande. Ah, dat speelt toch goed. Allez, kom. Valverde. Valverde. Dank je. Van den Broek. Evans. En Van den Blijven. Kazaar zekerd. Lenin. Daar ja. Allez Francis.
Vooral met Hausler.
Ja, 2 keer Hausler, een keer Hushoft in Parijs-Roubaix. Hushoft ook derde in Milaan-San Remo. Toen hadden ze 2 en 3.
En winnaar van de omloop het Liesbaan. Hausler die staat op kop van het zogeheten wereldklassement. Hè?
Alan Davis heeft daar een hele tijd op kop gestaan nadat hij een goede Tour Down Under had gereden. Die Engels in de rol van waterdrager bij de volgwagen waarin normaal Rick Verbrugge aan het stuur zou moeten zitten.
De winnaar van 2001 die toen aan zijn raid begon aan de voet van de Côte de Boisseau. Op zoek ging naar een groepje met ontsnapten met daarbij Erik Dekker en Ivan Basso. En daar galant naartoe reed, al was het verschil toch wel ruim een minuut. Ik denk dat hij er aan de voet van de Benahin bij kwam en dat hij daar dan gewoon doortrok en ze eruit reed. Glad eraf. Een jaar later deed Mario Aerts, weliswaar in een andere vorm, iets gelijkaardigs. En dat waren dan de laatste uitschieters, de laatste Belgische overwinningen. En Engels heeft echt zijn handen vol, zijn rug ook. Loubet is de man van AG2R. En ik denk dat hij het gewoon wat lastiger krijgt.
Tot is het al, hè?
Het zal 4,5 zijn 3 op. AG2R op kop.
In ieder geval verder, daar. Hier. Alejandro. Tanking. Van den Broek. Tegenstander. Vanberger. Hier, Dekker. Evans hier weer. Evans, ja, hier. Wegman, ja.
Als Van Verbrugge, dan moet hij daar toch mee opletten, want dat is daar serieus trekken wat hij daar doet. Bij de afgave van dat busje. Hoe vaak zou hij al uit de kom geweest zijn?
Ja, is het de linker of de rechter?
Allebei.
Ja. Onder meer in een sprint vorig jaar, hè, in de Eneco Tour.
Dit is de zit, kan ik. Ja.
Christophe Moreau here on the Agritubel team. He's a 13 times rider of the Tour de France with a terrific ride he did back in 2000 when he finished 4th. And I think after that he really believed he could one day win the Tour de France, but that hasn't been the case. It's the same year, by the way. He had 2 very bad crashes there, broke his collarbone and fractured his skull, so he had a very slow start to the year, but clearly it helped him be very strong in that year's Tour de France. But this has been a very long and lonely day, even when he was in the company of the Japan rider who was once on the team of Lance Armstrong, by the way. The year he started racing for Lance's team, 2005, Lance was planning his retirement later that year. And as we all know now, the big man is back and hopefully will be riding well in the Giro d'Italia. Well, the field behind have had this breakaway more or less under control since we left Charleroi, just 8 kilometres out. We headed off from Charleroi in a north-northeasterly direction above Namur, which you might like to know is the very first town I went to by train back in 1961 with my bicycle. I'd never been to Europe in my life, and of course stepped off the train and looked the wrong way because the cars in Europe are on the opposite side of the road to the cars in the UK. I had a wonderful ride down to Luxembourg and back up to Namur, and then the very next day I won my first bike race back in England, so obviously the training did me good. That's a little aside for you as you look now at the peloton here. It really is a very large group. They've enjoyed a very nice late spring day down here in the Ardennes, totally different area to the industrial part of small Côte, where the riders now are using this to try and soften things up, I think, and this could be an attack here by Chris Anker Sörensen of Saxo Bank. Somewhat quiet year for them. They've been off to an up and a down start, particularly so with the injuries to Stuart O'Grady. I hesitate to say again, poor old Stu is always in the wars, but he's a man of rubber and he bounces back. This is Chris Anker Sörensen here now. This is the sort of reaction we expect. Just 43 kilometres, about 28.5 miles left to ride, and we should see that gap close pretty quickly now. Previous years we've come here, they've been in the rain at this point, but this has been a marvellous early spring classic season since we went over to Paris-Roubaix and the Tour of Flanders and Ghent-Wevelgem. We've now come right down to the Ardennes here, down by Holland and Germany, where the roads are totally different. These climbs are very painful. They're not that long, but they hurt. But Bazayev coming up there, champion of Kazakhstan as well. The early testers now to see who's coming out to play towards the end of the day. You never know, all the big names are riding the race, but you never know if they're riding this event for training or to seriously aim for the victory because of Liège-Bastogne-Liège coming up. Moreau has certainly got his Wednesday's training in, that's for sure. He's going to be out there now. He's been out for about 150 kilometres. Luxembourg, sidelined. Number 1, proudly worn by last year's winner for Columbia High Road, Kim Kirken. First time we've mentioned his name since he crashed in February on the roads of the United States in the Tour of California. I can't believe he'll be a competitor today, but he's still in the action, although dangerously near the back here now, as he's got about 150 kilometres in those legs today. Valuable training for the future, I think. This is Gorman. Slipstream also enjoying the race today. The American Christophe Moreau, 38 years of age now, just. And that'll make Lance Armstrong feel a bit happier anyway. He's only a mere 37.5. Here he is, the boy in blue for Agri-Toubel. A couple of wins for him last year. Well, one actually, down on Salon de Provence, beautiful area of France. But he also got a good second place overall in the Route du Sud. But he was rather miffed because he wasn't allowed to try and defend his championship in the Dauphiné Libéré. They wouldn't accept the team entry, so he has an up and a down situation with officialdom. Looks to be about 15 or 16 riders down there. I think Tony Martin has got into that. Gasparotto. The orange jersey of Euskaltel is Igor Martinez. Well, I think we've got one or two good names here who might well bring this one to rights. Kolobnev. There's Tony Martin in the centre. Well, they're right up on the revs here now, and the peloton on the right of our picture and just behind the breakaway are not allowing them to go, and yet look at all the teams represented. That is from Team Columbia, a little bit of trouble at the back here. The boys from Garmin Slipstream. This is Tom Peterson. Well, it was Tom Peterson as he passed through our camera, and I think the other one was Dan Martin there. I'm not too sure, but Tom Peterson, terrific stage winner in the Tour of California this year. We haven't seen much of him since, but I think we will. These are tough races by any standard, and they're really not for the young professionals, except for experience, of course. But all of these guys know this is where you make, and there is not a surprise, is it really? The legs are just about to crack wide open. Last year's winner, Kim Kirken, searching for his full go. There's the full list now. Maxime Montfort is also here for Team High Road. It is Gavazzi, Agnoli for Liquigas. Currently out of our shots there. Oscar Pereiro is 3 wheels down here. Nice to see Nicholas Rochin on the act as well. Bazayev we've seen, he's got a teammate here in Muriev. We've seen Fabian Beckman. And the Cofidis ride is Leonardo Duque. I thought it was. Well, he's the sprinter. If they take him to the line, have a great chance. And he's pretty active too. He's sitting up near the front there. At the moment, there's about 8 riders down that line in the red jersey. I count about 17 riders there in that breakaway. And there's the peloton, hardly out of sight and out of mind, but in a nice pasture land setting here now. All the big teams, though, have got somebody in that breakaway, so they've now got to decide whether they're going to chase them back. Katusha, I don't think, has anybody. Training or just touring cycling in this area, take it. Wonderful restaurants, coffee shops, small hotels to stay in, and you'll hardly see a car if you go up into the hills and through the forests. Tony Martin and Maxime Montfort, 2 of the young bloods on the Team High Road with great futures, I think. Cyril Gauthier, new professional there. That's why I didn't recognise him. I think it was Gauthier who had a little dig on the climb at Bonville there. That's Kolobnev just passing through. Bazayev. Wolfgang and Sörensen are the 2 Saxo Bank, so it's not Kolobnev. It's not that the crowds down in Belgium, in this part of Belgium, are less enthusiastic, it's just that nobody lives down this way. But they certainly like their cycling down here. I spent a wonderful period about 1986, probably 88, something like that, training with Stephen Roach in this area. A very nice area, except that Stephen liked to go up hills and I didn't, which is a great shame, really. Right, this will be Gauthier again. Seems to like it when the roads go slightly up. There's a flurry of riders. Some liquid gas have suddenly turned up here. Wegman run wild. The tête de la course, the head of the race, ploughing his own private furrow here without any chance to stop at a coffee shop. As he gets into the last 28 kilometres, the town of Andenne. It's been a magnificent performance, I have to say, by Moreau. That looked like Serguei Ivanov, who was trying to get in on the act as well. Fabian Wegman, never far from the front. It is Ivanov also trying to come through. His tail is well up now after his great result in the Amstel Gold Race. Five times the Russian road race champion and currently the champion again. 20 seconds, so we should see Christophe just over the top of this hill as the counter-attacks are moving. Gendarme there pushing everybody over. And now it looks like Quickstep are trying to cause a split. And Ivanov has read this move. Here he is tucked into third wheel. That is Kolobnev now has moved into fourth wheel. A lot of doors opening, and here is the lonely figure of Christophe Moreau. And now this time from the front he does look a little bit tired. There is Ivanov in second wheel. And it is, I'm not sure, but it could be Jurgen van den Broek of Belgium, the silenced Lotto rider who's crossed the gap. 24 kilometres to go. So for only 32 kilometres of the 196 today has Christophe Moreau seen the peloton. And there's no resistance from him there. I've got him down for around about 166 kilometres in front, either with Beppu or by himself. Terrific breakaway at just over 100 miles in a field of this quality. At one stage he led by 15.25 minutes. They've wiped it out, as they seem to do all too often, with just 24 kilometres to go. The trees now are in full leaf here. The nesting birds won't be too happy with the flash by of colour, I'm sure. We make our way now towards the finish and the last climb. The last kilometre is where it all happens, unless somebody can. Little group of three trying to bridge the gap. Make that 7, 8, and it looks like the peloton. And Serpa's on his own. Well, we've had a Venezuelan on the podium, but we've never had a Colombian on the podium. Unai Echevarria finished second in this race in 2002. And I'm pretty sure he's the only rider from the South American continent to have podiumed in this event. "16 seconds, 15 kilometres to go. A little bit of a reshake of the pack as they're all starting to reform once more. Still plenty of riders to try and do something. Well, try as you might, a little bit of determination, and the rotter set in for Serpa. The whole peloton, he must be surprised by that. The whole peloton has swept him up. Gendarmes and the race marshals blowing the hearts out with the whistles as they get them on the right course, which they've succeeded in doing, and it's not it's a considerable feat in itself, that. First time we've seen Botchov in in home colours really, because the Russian rider, and there's confirmation, the Russian rider in fact has always raced on French teams throughout his career, which began in 2000, so it's his 10th year as a pro. He's only ever won 2 races, and in fact it's really only 1 race, because he won the overall of the Tour of the Mediterranean last year, and also took the 3rd stage. They're the only races he's ever won. But that doesn't make him any less of a rider, because he's had some terrific finishes and certainly ridden well down in the Tour Down Under, where he's been a pretty regular visitor when he was part of AG2R and the Crédit Agricole teams. Like starting his season in Australia in the warmth of Adelaide, and boy, it can be warm. We've had some very hot days down there. But the legs are now screaming with pain, and the bunch are bringing them back. One has a feeling of a big togetherness in Flèche Wallonne this year. Try as they might, the team's continually putting feelers out, but somebody else is driving them back in. Nobody actually cracking anybody. Another one of these nasty little drags. This is Vanberger. Rode last year for Barlow World. That's a team which has announced its withdrawal from the sport at the end of this year. If you remember, after the problems they had in the Tour de France with Moses, one of the riders there who was done for drugs, they announced they were out on the spot, but they felt sorry for the rest of the team and they came back in again, in fact, but they are definitely out at the end of this year, which is very sad. Terrific team. It's registered in Great Britain, but in fact it's a South African setup. And it's managed by Claudio Corti, former Italian world amateur champion. And so a lot of guys are looking for contracts on that team, and they've got some good riders. Vanberger already moved. He's joined the Russian squad this year, sits in 2nd wheel here. Looks as though we've got 5 riders. That must be Serguei Ivanov, who's tagged on at the back. So we've got Scarponi, Gasparotto, Vanberger, Ivanov, and if that's the quick-step rider who's come on the back, then that'll be Davenants. The riders are dropping off. That was Julien Alvarez, the Frenchman on Cofidis, who's having a very good season. Looks as though he was in trouble at the back of the group. There's the full lineup, and that's exactly as we spotted it. Sometimes I amaze myself. 11 kilometres to go. It used to be easier to spot riders going nowhere. At 10k, must be nearly 9 kilometres now. Vanberger pushing on those pedals here. So it takes a breather at the back. That's Rodriguez, who's come up for Case de Pont. We wondered where they were. Now they're here when it matters most. 10k out. Shortly you become 9. Beautiful split in the field right now. Unless you're in the back half, of course, then it's terrible. Cervelo have been very quiet today, I must say. Simon Gerrans has been given the privilege of leader. He wears 181. Scarponi, Rodriguez, Vanberger is the new lineup. So Katusha with the man here, and Scarponi is a very strong rider. So they'll have turned off at the back. They've tried to get somebody away in the move, and now they've got Michele Scarponi, who's had a win, don't forget. He won the Tirreno Adriatico. Incredible race to win, especially if you're Italian in the month of March. He led for only a day as well. Snatched it, shall we say. It's his 2nd year with Sedimenti. He had no results really to speak of last year, but he's come out fighting this year. Saxo Bank, Karsten Kroon. Now this is quality, and 3 new teams here. And Tirolongo is tagged on for Lamprey at the back. In the mauve, Rabobank, well, it looks like they're all driving across. It's amazing, isn't it? Nobody will go anywhere. That's another combination which really had potential, especially with Karsten Kroon. 7 kilometres to go. We're running down towards the main road. Throw a blanket over the lot. It'll be slipping up the gears shortly and they'll be able to cross the gap. I can't see that group staying away at this point. It's still a pretty big peloton. Famberger on the left, Rodriguez on the right, Karsten Kroon now on the right. Tirolongo is the lamprey boy at the back. We need one more name on the screen, I think. Can't see the Karsten Kroon bit. There we are. It'd be hard pressed though, wouldn't you, to find a more beautiful area to ride a bike race than through the Ardennes at this time of the year. No cycle paths in this part of the world, you're free to ride.
Nous savons également Skoda Automobile avec Skoda Roadster, Skoda Fabia, Skoda Fabia et Skoda Super. La dernière ligne de la gamme Skoda. De la course, donc beaucoup de mouvements actuellement alors que nous sommes à 16 km de l'arrivée. Lhotellerie possède un avantage de 2 secondes sur le reste du peloton. Le peloton qui est sorti avec beaucoup d'énergie, donc pas plusieurs concernés, plusieurs équipes concernées par la victoire, plusieurs coureurs et nous avons le coup de la
Deliver the goods. I must say, if they all follow in the wheel tracks of their women's team, Tina Teutenberg is having one terrific season. I think she's won 10 or 11 races already this season. That is incredible. Right, break over. Rodriguez was in that break, but I would say was never committed to it. And he's there to fight again now, along with his team leader. Sandy Casal, Française de Jeu, sat near the back. Another man gets it right on the climb. It looks as though Silence Lotto have now put the word out. They must feel this is going down to best of the climber sprinter up the finish. And so now tactics are simple. Keep the pressure high, stop any more of these silly little attacks that are going nowhere, and deliver both Philippe Gilbert and Cadel Evans to the base of the climb in the right position, because they've got the staying power. They could take it now. 3 kilometres out, a result which the team would be delighted with right now. They won a big result just now, Silence Lotto. Got washed away in the early parts of in the Flanders Classics by their arch rivals, Quick-Step. And Gilbert, inspired by the fact he lives right here on these roads. Cadel Evans can't say the same, of course. He lives an awful long way away on the other side of the world in a place called Barwon Heads. 2 kilometres to go. We're in the back streets of Huy. We get back onto a good road and then we flick right at just on the kilometre for the Battle of the Mountain. This is going to be quite a finish now. Now, this is how you position yourself when you think you've got a chance of winning Flèche Wallonne. The riders, plenty of fluidity in the movement there, all trying to... I can see Simon Gerrans trying to get on the act there too for Cervelo. Cervelo haven't really done much on the race today. They've watched all the moves and so far it's paid off for them. As they now start to sit there, and I think it's only Gerrans who's up here for them. Valverde being led to the altar, but can he get married at the top? Well, He's got to take his chance on the climb. He knows the climb. He last won this race in 2006, the first leg of the double, going on to pick up Liège-Bastogne-Liège. A coveted result. Somebody from Muscatel just cried enough there and slipped off the back. Well, this is now going to be it as they start the climb up towards the finish. This really steep ascent. These are the people down the bottom, but it's an awful long way. You have to time it to absolute perfection. No second chance. Nicky Sörensen is in the red there, the champion of Denmark for Saxo Bank. And he's trying not to make the move just now. The Française de Jeu rider. There's Sörensen forced to go into the lead. Fabian Weckmann trying to get onto his wheel, but not trying to use his energy either. And this is David Lelay here for Agri-Turbel, and that's a serious move. He's got a nice low gear in as he pushes on. He's a long way to go to the top, and believe me, you come round one of these bends and you see this wall, it is... Christophe Moreau started so long ago today. Valverde sits in the centre there in the black with the champion strips on the edge of his cuffs, former champion of Spain. Weckmann concentrating on the left, now pushed out of it. Cunego here in pink. Andy Schleck, I haven't mentioned him before, has moved right to the front without brother Frank today, left lying in the road of the Amstel Gold 4 days ago. Cadel Evans has been forced to come to the front, but it's an awful long way to go. Cadel looks at the steep section of the climb here. Some climbers like to dictate the pace, but how much effort is he using here? He knows the finish. Second last year, and no Kim Kirken to worry about this time up the climb. Third wheel as we look down. Gritting his teeth, and he knows those legs are not firing quite like they should. Waiting is Schleck and Rebellin. Rebellin moves up onto the shoulder of the younger Andy Schleck. He's only younger by about 15 years, mind you, and now it's Rebellin who makes his move. And Rebellin has seen the finish and he's gone now. Has Schleck got it here? His face said he may not. Surely not. Andy Schleck, one of the oldest riders in the race, not quite the oldest, is coming clear here with an incredible acceleration. He's going to get his third victory here. He did it in 4, did it in 7, now he's doing it in 9. Only 3 other riders have ever done that: Argentin, Merckx and Kint. And so he joins a very exclusive 4-up club. And it looked to me as though it was indeed Andy Schleck who hung on for second. And I think the little prince, Damiano...
pas eu passer Valverde.
Quand c'est pas Sanchez qui a gagné. Sanchez. Allez, allez, allez!
has crossed the line in third place, just as he did a year ago. Evans faded dramatically there. There's Ivanov coming in now. Winner of the Amstel Gold. This leaves nothing to the imagination, this climb. You nail your colours to the wall. As I said, you get one shot. Evans played his card too soon and the legs wouldn't make it to the top. David Delay, I think he took advantage of a little rest period or lull before the race started and took his chance well, but it wasn't good enough. Well, what can you say about Davide Rebellin? He is a man of these classics. He so often has been. He's proved it before. He did the double himself a couple of years ago in 2004. He also did the treble then because he won the Amstel Gold as well. They were big moments for him, and that is a huge result for his team too.
Die was bij de eerste. Pannenberg, nu, kijk. Allee, Pannenberg. Dat is de eerste. Dat gaat Scarponi zijn bezig. Allee. Daar de Cunego. Recht van de man is groot zijn. Hè? Recht van de man is Dat is je beeld ja, dat je teruggeeft.
Tout d'abord les féminines et ensuite les messieurs seront récompensés. Attention.
Félicitations.
Congratulations, David.
Un peu à court de compétition et finalement vous avez gagné une troisième fois.
Finally, you've won this race for a third time.
Je viens la semaine passée que c'était pas mal. L'Amstel, c'était pas mal. J'étais un peu malade.
I didn't do too bad. A little bit sick in the Amstel. It wasn't too bad. I've had a good week so far. Today I made a good race. We never saw him all day. What are you talking about?
Maintenant, vous redevenez un des grands favoris de Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
Now he's made himself one of the big favourites for Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Yeah, he hopes he is. It's a course he loves very much. He just hopes he can win it one more time.
Je connais bien mon force. Je suis capable de bien programmer les objectifs.
Well, he's got the strength. It's part of his objective. It's part of his program this year. talkative chap, isn't he?
C'est facile, hein?
Et pour nous, c'est temps après, hein? Bon.
Dat is een zak nodig.